my friend Shannon Kinney here. Shannon, you're on. I see you there. Shannon Kinney is the founder and client success officer of Dream Local Digital, a digital marketing agency that has helped more than 48,000 businesses nationwide with online marketing workshops, programs, strategies, and campaigns. She brings more than 30 years of experience in media and more than 20 years of experience in leadership roles developing scalable digital small business marketing, including at startups such as Cars.com, Career Builder, Knight Rider Digital, LinkedIn, Google, eBay, Microsoft, and many media brands throughout North America. Shannon works closely with Delight Digital and has been a driving inspiration to our team. Shannon, I am so thrilled that you're here tonight.
Oh,
The floor is yours. Are you, I think, Adams, if you want to.
I don't see a mic on Shannon's login, so.
Uh-huh. Oh, your mic is okay. Let's see here. I
only see the video, like she didn't share her audio.
So is she having audio problems?
And I think she might be doing her audio by phone.
Oh, so then let me see. Okay,
oh,
good.
We've muted you.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. How about now?
Yes, she's dialed in. Can you unmute her?
Yes.
Okay. Can we hear you? Shannon?
All right, I think.
Awesome.
Hi. Awesome. Yeah, I think one of the administrators had just muted me because I was talking before, but so great to be here. I'm really excited to see everyone. And I know you have a really aggressive agenda, so I'm gonna like slide into my slides for a minute. And I wanted to share it. I know Paul probably told you earlier, please don't hesitate to interrupt. If you have any questions, jump in, and he and I are going to try to answer as many as we can during our allotted time today. And whatever ones we don't answer, Paul Adams from his team and myself will make sure we get back to you. But I, like you, Angela, I'm really excited seeing that there's 35% fully operational. We're starting to see it's only 5% that are totally closed. That's really exciting. I know it's been a very stressful time for everyone. And I think the one good thing that I wanted to share is that it really has been an opportunity to hit the reset button. And I hope some of you have enjoyed some new things that you were able to do, or some quiet time with your families, with your housework, whatever. My daughter painted our fence today. Like, that was pretty awesome. It's a chance to hit the reset button. From a business standpoint, that's really so important, because it's a chance to think about your business differently, a chance to think about the ways you did things, the ways you serviced your customers, how you communicated with your customers. And so I know from our side how we are coming back and how we came back to fully operational last month, or earlier at the beginning of last month, was different than we went before. And that's a really interesting opportunity. And I hope many of you are really taking advantage of that. Another thing I wanted to share is, as stressful as all of this has been and continues to be for all of us who are business leaders, when you have personal feelings of concern, when you're not sure when you can open, when you're not sure what you can do personally, your consumer confidence does not correlate to spending, actually. Like, you might think that if I'm scared, that means I'm gonna crawl into a hole and not do anything, when in reality, a lot of people are consuming content, people are shopping online. And as a result, what that means is there are real opportunities to kick your business back into gear, to keep the economy moving. It's just during a different time, but it doesn't necessarily have to be such a roller coaster that many of our, our confidence levels are personally. And marketing really isn't a faucet. So no matter what phase you're at in the poll, from not closed to, or not open to busier than ever, you need to keep your name out there in a really consistent way. And it's been such a pleasure over the years working with Paul and the team at the Light Digital to really have an impact helping businesses keep their name out there and engage with customers in a way that's actually going to be cost effective and drive results. And I use the term as a faucet because a lot of people are thinking, oh, my business is closed, I'm just going to turn it off. And then when my business is fully operational again, which, 60+% of you aren't, then you think, oh, I could just turn it back on and all of a sudden you're there. One of the things that's really interesting about the reset button is it takes about 21 days to form a habit. And we all have been sheltered in place considerably longer than that. So the way you shop might be different. The television shows you're watching, the news you're consuming, the time of day you're getting up, the things you're interested in, your aspirations, for example, all could be very different now. And so as a business owner, that means we really have to we can't take for granted that the way we engaged with people before is going to remain consistent. So it's important that we, keep our name out there. So in preparation for today, when Paul first gave me the honor of coming today, I started doing a lot of research around other recessions or bumps in the road for businesses that were significant. So I looked at September 11th, and then I looked at the recession in 2008 and 2009, and I found a ton of studies about it. But one of the things that was really interesting to me was that businesses that even just did a small but solid increase in their marketing during a difficult time saw exponential wins later. And this is a great example here when you look at this chart and think the red line on the top, these are businesses that were investing. So when times are tough and people are scared and you've got your name out there and you're being a resource and helping them, then you can win later on. New loyalties are being developed as we speak while people are sheltered in place. So I have a couple of tips on here. I know we want to think about how can we be scrappy, how can we do a lot of this ourselves, and also where do we invest. Biggest thing you should be thinking about yourself is updating your marketing plan. It should be totally different than it looked before this happened, and not just because we all have a lot of revenue that we have to make up, but also because the climate's different, the economy is different, your customer base and what motivates them are different. So your marketing plan should really consist of what are you doing in all of the outlets that you market your business, whether for everything from business cards to your Facebook page, all should be considered as elements of your marketing plan. And who are you talking to, with what messages, where, when, and why? That should all be part of your plan. And if you didn't have one before, I'd argue that this new economy and the shortened time span we all have in 2020 to make our businesses successful, it's definitely a great time for you to start. You really need a plan. Gone are the days of just waking up on Monday and opening up your Facebook page and thinking of something charming and having it make a real difference in your business. So it's important to update that plan as quickly as you can. Things to consider. Are there any new product ideas or concepts or service, lines of service that can guide or influence new habits after the crisis passes? How has your business changed during this time frame? Hold on, we've got a question. I'm just gonna, oh, thanks. How's your business changed? What do you want customers to think about, or more importantly, feel about your brand right now? I'd argue that the more in context you can keep your message and the more you can make people feel like you're aligned with them right now, the more solid you'll see your lift being long-term. How can you be a resource to them and others? And also, where do you need help? What are you good at on your own? And what skills do you have on your own? And then where do you think having an expert at the table is going to be the right thing for you and your business? And also, I think seeing is opportunity, and I was lucky enough to hear some people in the our breakout room talking about new ways to look at things. It really is an opportunity for us to really reinvent how we do business with each other, how we care for each other, and how we support local businesses around us. Now, I have a little bit of data for us about small businesses and how they're applying marketing. The next couple of slides are from a company called Burrell Associates. They're the largest and most trusted measurer, which is probably not even a word, of small business marketing and where they're allocating their spend, sentiment, and more. And they've been doing monthly surveys during the COVID-19 pandemic to understand how is it affecting it. And one of the most interesting things that their findings showed was this slide here, which, you know, obviously looks like a big old line. And I know you're thinking about margaritas, but let's just go back to crisis marketing for a minute. So what it's showing is that there's this huge influx of growth in media usage. There's about 60% more eyeballs looking at content than were before COVID. There's also about 40% less competition for advertising. So more inventory, if you will, if you thought of every story or every page view as inventory, more inventory, less competition, which is this really interesting dynamic. However, that window is starting to close pretty quickly. So we've got about another month and a half where you have a real opportunity to distinguish yourself, to get your name out there and make sure that you can have an impact on building loyalty and reaching new prospects and customers online. And so as at least 35% of you are fully functional. We have a few that are busier than ever. Many of you are in the final throes of planning your reopening, which I know the next panel is going to cover, which is exciting. I want to give you a few tips on what you should be doing with your online marketing as you're planning that. First one, which I'm sure all of you have been doing for 6 weeks now, make sure that your messaging is empathetic. I think you sound really tone deaf if you're trying to just say things in the same language that you were before. Many have adjusted text, but neglected images. And images like handshakes, for example, are a little bit off-putting depending on the message and the context around them. So make sure that you're keeping people informed. I actually was on site at a restaurant today that is just reopened, and their Facebook page was flooded with a lot of messages that they just said, we're open. You know, this is what's on special and hooray, we're back. And there was no communication until you physically showed up about what precautions they were taking. As a result, many people were afraid and didn't go. So I think the more that you keep people informed, the better. And I have a couple examples of that today. Make sure that your messaging is sensitive, which is, you know, what the restaurant owner was missing there. She was really thinking that she just needed to say, we're messaging. We're open, and that's what we wanted to do, but it really needs to be more about what precautions are we taking, how are we focused on responding to the changing dynamic. Make sure that you listen for and respond to changes in customer sentiment and behavior. And I've seen this happen several different times where businesses are like, oh, my customers know me. They know that I'm not that serious. Actually, nothing is the same now. And people want to understand that they're safe, et cetera. Recognize people have new habits, and some might be really excited that you've reopened. Some may have gone from going out for 5 days a week to only 2, and how does that impact your customer base? Make sure your message is easy to share. We've helped a few businesses with their reopening campaign messages and seen dozens and dozens of shares because everybody's so excited that their local businesses are back. And finally, make sure there's consistency in all marketing. In-store signage, we just got a question about on-hold messages if somebody's on the phone. I have examples in here about emails that come out. And don't forget these autopilot channels like on-hold messages, or if somebody books an appointment, maybe you text or email them a confirmation. Every single communication with people ought to be relevant and talking about what's going on and how that works, how it all works with your messaging. So don't forget those autopilot messages. I actually have had we've had three different spas and hair salons, had people book appointments, then cancel them because when they got the confirmation, there was no messaging in there about how they should prepare. Did they need masks? Do they need gloves? How do they prepare? Okay. So what do people want to hear from you in your messaging? This is a little bit more from the Burrell Associates data, service adjustments and updates, indicating what you're doing to help people. So there's this whole, you know, the whole piece about compliance, and we're here and we're open, we're compliant. There's also a lot of messages about we've got a deal. And I wanted to share with you, I think we're going to see a lot more pressure around that in June and late June to try to get people to start coming out, because just because you're open doesn't mean everybody feels safe and is going to start running out and behaving the same way they did before. But I want to just say that I'm not saying that people need to discount their products and services. I'm saying you should think differently about how you can interact with them, how you can serve them. Is there something that you can offer that is unique in a way, whether it's a discount or something that entices them to come out? I think one of the best examples we can all probably remember is that September 11th, General Motors came out with the Keep America Rolling campaign, and they launched 0% financing for vehicles, which had never been done before. And all of a sudden, they had a million more cars sold. And did that cost them a lot of money? Yes. But it was helping people feel safe and secure and spend at a time that they may otherwise have not. So just think about what can you do to help people know you're open, you're compliant, and deal or I'm here for you type of promotion. So engaging your customers on social is probably the strongest thing that you're all doing right now. It's at an all-time high. The most important thing I want you thinking about is thinking about context. So your message in the context of the environment that the consumer is reading it in. And in this case here from Empire Mini Storage, they're saying, hey, do you need access to your storage? We're here to help. And I think the more that you can think about context, the better. Here's another one. If you're desperate for a toilet paper alternative, your old stack of party napkins will work, but don't flush them. Which this is an awesome example because, you know, for whatever reason, everybody went a little bit crazy about toilet paper for a little while. And this is a really relevant, directly relevant and timely message for the customer. The other thing is don't be afraid to sell. Like a lot of my webinars on this a month ago were talking about empathy, make sure you're helping people. And it does matter. It matters a lot. But I think we were talking about that so much that people were afraid to actually talk about what they do, which isn't at all the case. You should absolutely talk about what you're doing, particularly if you put it in the context and it's not like a hard sell. So in this case, you'll see Empire Mini Storage again talking about attention students. We know this is a big shift. Here's how we can help. And then I love this example of this dry cleaner. Because, for example, I might not normally, I normally do my own laundry and find a way to squeeze it in during the week. But I love this message. It's like, do you love your kids but hate the laundry? Like the kids are home from school and you just can't keep up? Here's a coupon, maybe you should try us. Like that's an excellent message. And it's so relevant to where my head's at that it makes me notice it. It's better for brand awareness, and it will have a much higher chance of converting and building loyalty on an ongoing basis. Just a couple more national examples here. Tom's is showing us some slippers because now we're working from home. And Bones Coffee Company is showing us that the ways to self-quarantine are to stay home and get coffee, which of course we can all identify with. Here's another example about, you know, how do you calm down during stressful times? This has been a really important topic on a lot of people's minds is how do you take care of your own mental health during this time and the mental health of children. For those of us who have homeschooling is now added as a second job, which is super fun. I say with some sarcasm, but you know, all of that matters a lot. And Headspace is another great example of a bunch of campaigns that are saying, you know, we're here for you. This particular campaign is fantastic because it shifted it from the beginning of the pandemic to, hey, looking sharp from the waist up because now you're on Zoom calls all day, to, hey, you're getting ready to be back into action. Are you ready? This here is an example of a retailer that we worked with that we were really surprised by how much reaction we got. People wanted to know that A, the guys were okay, they were still taking online orders, and they were safe. And people wanted to know that the crew was safe in addition to their gear being safe. And as a result, every week we've done weekly safety updates. The last one we did was actually shared 50 times in the first hour, which is just, you know, really surprising. I think people want to support the retailers and local businesses that they care about, and they want to know that you are available and compliant or safe, and that's just a good example. Finally, for any of you that didn't have access to being able to sell gift cards and you want people to actually be able to sell gift cards, Facebook has a program. And I should have mentioned at the beginning, and I apologize, Paul and Adams at the Light Digital have a copy of this whole slide deck, including that URL. And if you want a copy, all you have to do is talk to them and they'll make sure you get one. So businesses, you can stay connected with social media and a lot of the ways you've been adapting your businesses. And I wanted to show you another great example. This is a restaurant in Corpus Christi, Texas that is using their created a drive-through movie theater in their parking lot. You can go right to their website, buy tickets, order your meal, and see the rules and procedures. I thought you guys might like to see that. Now, for any of you that are doing paid ad campaigns right now, it's an extremely cost-effective time to do it. Like, remember the Lime slide. A lot more audience, a lot less noise and clutter, which is really just a terrific combination. It's also an optimal time for you to do any retargeting or remarketing campaigns. If you haven't done that or you have questions about that, make sure you talk to Paul. It's when an ad follows you. If you've visited a website and it follows you later, those are converting at a very high level right now. Social media campaigns, search campaigns are working very well. Brand awareness, like I just want more people to know about me, is a very effective strategy right now because it's more cost effective and efficient. And there's a lot of potential competition that isn't in your auction. Now I'm almost ready to wrap up and take any questions. So if you have any, start thinking of them and getting them in the chat box. But before I stop, I want to just spend two quick things. I want to talk about search and how you can maximize your time. So with search, it's really important you can be found. I know it's not as sexy as social media can be, but make sure that at minimum, you claim and optimize your Google My Business page. And if you don't know what that is, make sure you let Adams and Paul know. If you do know what it is, but you're not sure if you've optimized it properly, find out. It means photos, your COVID-19 hours and compliance, a great description about your business. Remember, Google My Business is your storefront in the world's biggest search engine. So if somebody's looking, make sure that they see you in a really terrific light. And maximizing your time. So for those of you that aren't fully operational, this is a great opportunity for you to really double down on getting ready to kick it out of the park for the rest of the year. Make sure you optimize your web copy for SEO. And by that I mean, think of all the words and phrases that you want to show up under, write them on a piece of paper, and yes, I said paper, write them on a piece of paper. Then I want you to bring up your website. Do you say those things? Are those words and phrases all over your website? Because if they're not, they should be. And they also should be a big part of your marketing plan. They should be a big part of what you're saying about yourself on social media as well. So make sure that all of that really connects. It's a great time to create useful content and resources for your customers. Maybe you create blog posts. Maybe you're going to do quick videos for people answering questions that you get on a regular basis. Take some photos of your shop, of your products or services, or organize your photo library so you're ready. Ask customers for reviews or referrals. Build or segment your email list, or get back to that marketing plan. And if you need help with the marketing plan and you're just not sure how to really make sure that you do the best work you can do for the rest of 2020, be sure to let Paul and Adams know, because they have a lot of solutions for you that I think you'll find can be extremely affordable, and they're very driven towards retention, which is really going to be important for all of us. We got to make sure whatever we're doing works. So if you need help with any questions, let us help you. So I'm here for questions. I see we've got a couple starting to show up, and Adams is here to take questions as well. Okay. Oh, yep. Please send questions to Angela. I see that.
Hey, Shannon, while people are doing that, let me ask the first question. So thank you very much. You're on the East Coast, and I know it's a bit later there, so thank you for making the visit to us here. Businesses are really struggling at the moment. Restaurants have been shut down, so budget makes a huge difference. For somebody that is really in a crisis, where's the one thing that they should start? Of all the things that you talked about, what's the one thing they can do for the least amount of money to get help for their businesses?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's such an important question. And we've been talking to hundreds of businesses, and it's emotional for me even thinking about what you're talking about, because it is so true and happening to so many of us. And I think there's a few different things you could do that are cost effective. When I say have a marketing plan, like, you need to block and tackle and map out what your plan is. And I think that's really important, and why I stressed it a couple of times. I think you should be communicating with your clients and prospects or potential customers, past customers, on social media. So for example, if I'm a restaurant, I'd be updating Facebook. And there is a wide variety of strategies you could do it. You could just say, hey, we miss all of you. Please buy gift certificates to help us support our people. Or we've also had chefs that we've worked with who are at home doing signature dishes and doing quick videos with cell phones of their signature dishes and sharing recipes with people while they're at home. And all of that will work. I think the more clever you are about it, the more loyalty you're going to build. But I think communicating how you are, what's happening, is, for you, if you do it yourself, is no cost and is important. I think if you need to sell a product, you need to get revenue, like for survival, that might be an area where I'd ask for help, or I would find any one strategy that I had used before, adapt it, and go from there. So like if one of our retail clients, for example, their highest conversion rate is email. And so we chose out of all of his channels, which one goes up first? Email. And that's how we made the decision, was essentially what's my most likely to convert, and then communicate on social yourself rather than ask for help if that's what you do. But I think it's looking at what's worked in the past and recognizing that any information you share, your audience wants to hear from you.
Thank you, Shannon. Angela, do we have questions in the chat box? I know time is short. Can we take a couple of minutes, or do we need to get into networking? Make the call.
I think we should take one or two more. I have two good ones right here. This one is from Melissa Prandy, and she says, Shannon, are you recommending postcard mailing? It seems like it's a good time to do something like that has some sort of a call to action or some information in it.
That's a great question, Melissa. I mean, I think that you certainly can. I think anything that you can do that communicates directly with your customers is a good move right now. I think for me, that post, if I was going to look at direct mail, I'd want to make sure the zip codes were really specific and that my message was very timely. Because we have a lot of clients that had other ones already printed that we halted everything from being mailing, because if you try to approach your customer the same way you did 4 months ago, it's going to sound tone deaf. To Paul's point earlier, I don't know what your financial situation is in your business. I know for me, we've got a lot of our clients that were using digital tactics versus traditional direct mail or yellow page investments right now, because they're more cost effective going online. So you might want to test the message that you were thinking about, test it on social and see how it's resonating with people. If you have an email list or want to build an email list, you might want to test it that way too. I think your desire to directly touch people is on point.
Awesome. And one more quick question. And this is from Joanne from the San Rafael Chamber. And she says, should we invest in more than one social media platform?
So Joanne, I would say two things. The first answer is go where your customers are. And if your target audience, which I'm assuming is true for a chamber, you have your membership, your businesses, and local community, then you also have visitors to the region, which means you've probably got several different target audiences you're talking to. I think Facebook is probably your primary channel. And then, but if you're attracting people under 35, for example, you may want to consider Instagram. I think you go where your customers are. But that said, I'm going to put a huge qualifying statement on it. Only go where you're either going to invest in help or you yourself are going to do a consistently good job with it. So if you don't get Instagram and don't understand it and you are going to try to do this yourself, don't do Instagram is my advice. Make sure you're investing your time as wisely as possible. But I would say that there's probably more than one channel that your business or your organization should be part of if you have the capabilities to do so. You should.
Awesome. Thank you, Shannon.
Thank you so much for having me, everybody.
Thank you, Shannon. Awesome that you're here. Thank you.
Bye.
All right. So